Hey, Timo, what's up? What's up, man? Hey, Chipper. Yeah, I think we're gonna Timo with the bragging rights here. But I think I'm probably gonna get to about midnight, which is about 40 minutes here. Hey, what's up, LS? Hey, Tryon. Oh, so what are we gonna talk about tonight? I usually just put it up here and let the topics come to me, and we just go from there. So, hey, Mike. I know, but the two previous live chats were pretty good. Hey, North. Wes will be here momentarily. He usually comes wandering in sooner or later, so but he's probably in here somewhere. Hey, what's up, River? There's Wes, and I'm already lagging. There we go. Yeah, like when Wes was finishing up his, I was already double loaded, ready to go. Hey, what's up, Nina? How you doing, hon? But yeah, as I said, I'm probably gonna go for about 40 minutes today. Um, people are going. My folks are going to church in the morning, so I don't want to wake them up. So, and they're kind of already in bed. Well, one's already asleep, and the other one's downstairs watching TV. So I don't want to disturb them too much this late. I don't know, Nina. Why are you? I'm saying the same question myself. Hence the name of my the live stream tonight. But yeah, some very good talks tonight, especially what I caught from SOS. They're like the mental health thing. That's one thing nobody ever takes into account for anything is people's mental health in any type of situation. Um, sorry, reading the screen there. Like with my job, I'm surrounded by people with certain mental conditions. Now, I don't deal directly with them, but what I do with what I haul kind of helps it, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, that's cool, trying. Hey, we all have lives outside of this. I get it. I totally get it. But you sound like me, Timo. I make videos and I make videos. I watch videos on YouTube, and when I'm not watching videos on YouTube, I usually got the Velocity channel on the TV watching stuff about cars. Which, going to that subject here real quick, learned something about Wes a couple nights ago I didn't know, and I think it's totally cool because I used to do it too. Tuner cars. Wes would do tuner cars. I used to autocross, so I used to play with them too. But that's another thing. See, the one thing I found out, especially with this community, anything you do, especially mechanical, animal husbandry, anything like that, can be translated over to prepping and survivalism in some way or another. And see that's the thing is if you know in an SHTF situation, if you know good mechanics, sound mechanics, especially when it comes to like Hondas, GMs, a lot of Fords and a lot of Dodges, that a lot of the parts on those vehicles can cross over. Now, not suspension parts so much, but if you have a car that has an engine problem, you can diagnose it real quick. And depending on if there's another one close by that you can strip a part off of, you can get that car running. Oh, this should be interesting, Brian. What you yanking the engine out of? See that I did that a ton, man. Okay, 2002 Trailblazer. Trying to remember because on that one, I think, yeah, you should be able to come out through the hood with that. Because I know some Trailblazers when I worked out at the Chevy shop that they would actually drop. You guys should unbolt the frame and drop the front subframe. And they used to take the engine transmission out as one unit, then yank the engine off there, put the engine on, and put it all back in as one unit. Ooh, yeah, that's never good. Windows in the block are never a good thing. And man, I used to autocross, but before I started playing around with Hondas, I played around with Hondas for a little bit. I was autocrossing an S10 pickup truck with a 2.8 V6 in it. It was rated from the factory at 95 horsepower at the flywheel. By the time I was done with it, I was making 150 horsepower to the rear wheels on the 2.8. Now, that's 150 horsepower. In today's standards, it's not that great. 93 2.8, that's a big jump. That's a huge jump. And Pintos, I actually still want to get a hatchback Pinto because if I ever get back into autocross, that's one of the cars I was thinking about doing that with. And I didn't even think about it until I drove a buddy of mine's autocross car, which was a Pinto, had a 2.3 formula motor in it. And they drove that. Oh, see, now what's this talking my language? I had a 75 Maverick. I loved that thing. But back to the Pinto, it had a 2.3 Formula Ford motor in it, making about 215, 220 horsepower. 220 horsepower in a Pinto out of a four cylinder is quite the ride, let me tell you. But I drove that car right after they built it on course, and then they drove it to three national championships. So it's a proven it's a proven um, formula that can work for racing. But I digress. Got the gearhead going in me, and I'm like, ooh. Oh, see, I love my Maverick. I had a Maverick, had 250 straight six in it, and it was a 75. So it had the molded on the cast in exhaust manifold. But what somebody did before I got it, they ran that exhaust, they hacked the exhaust manifold off through a bandsaw, drilled and tapped it, and it had an Offenhauser header on it. When I got it, I put a different intake on it. I put on a 4 barrel intake, put a 3/4 bump stick on it, and a cutout on the exhaust, so I could run open exhaust in that thing, and took all the emission stuff off of it. 250 a 250 V6 with no emissions on it, with the performance goodies, could outrun a 50 Mustang. You mean a 3.8 Buick V6? If you get the 3.8 like a Grand National 3.8, you could buy all the aftermarket parts to make a GNX motor that could probably get that Toyota pickup truck going well over 200 mile an hour, since the original GNX would go 210 and they weighed a lot more. Oh, Grand Nationals were people kind of like, oh, it's a V6 turbo. The Grand Nationals were wicked cars. They used to have their own drag racing series, and they had some of those V6s. Oh, I forgot about those. Yeah, because they were using those in drag cars. They'd actually take the turbo setup, the do one of two things. They take the turbo set up off of them and run them on oh, what you call it. They'd run them on nitrous, or they would add a turbo, make like a twin turbo 3.2 off them, and they're making all kinds of ungodly horsepower off of V6. That's okay, Lakeisha. It's you get me started on the gearhead stuff, and I have so many crazy ideas running around in my head. Like I still want to get a Maverick. I want to drop a 460 in it, but do the 429 Boss conversion to it and make like an old school pro stalker out of it. I know nothing about motorcycles. Nothing. Actually, NASCAR was going to let them run, but it never really went over. They did run the Buick V6 in Indy for about 3 or 4 years and had some decent success with them. AMC's actually made some really nice cars. They made some really nice cars. Um, AMC there for a while had a 360 V8 Hornet. That was they actually built it for for drag racing. This room with just they put up there. Oh, 428 Cobra Jet engines. Those are nice motors there. Oh, there you go, man. Um, See, a buddy of mine. Well, here's what's funny about the AMC Hornet. The AMC Hornet shared the same platform as the Mustang. Back then, AMC would take parts from other manufacturers and make their own car out of it. It shared the same platform as the Maverick. And I know my valve cover rotted out on my Maverick, and he still had his Hornet that had the blow motor in it. And we ended up yanking the valve cover off his Hornet, putting it on my Maverick, and the Hornet had a 258. The Ford had a 250, but AMC did they punched out the 250 a little bit, made a 258 because I think they put a Chevy piston in it somehow. So yeah, AMC used like parts from everybody because it had a Ford platform, a Ford engine, and a Ford transmission, but it used like GM interior parts and a Dodge rear end in it. Oh yeah, that is Fast West. Yeah, when the white line on the highway goes solid, you're going at silly fast speeds there. Hey, what's up, Chris? Oh, I would too, guys. I would. I mean, I hate going past salvage yards. I hate it. And some of the stuff I see them putting in there, like I actually want a Chevette to make an autocross car out of too. Good luck finding one now. Yep. I mean, it wasn't too uncommon to once AMC got Jeep, they would put the AMC V8 in, but they would run like a turbo 350 transmission backed up with a MP205 transfer case and have Dana 44s front and rear on them. Oh, I hear you, Mike. I hear you. There's still a couple decent pick parts around here. What's up, Blue? And actually, I have a trailer for my Jeep now. I have a little flatbed trailer, but eventually I'd like to get like a little camper trailer for it. And I found one that would work. It's these little tiny teardrops. My Jeep can only pull up to about 2,000 pounds, but this little teardrop trailers only go about 1,500, so I can put about 500 pounds of stuff in the trailer too. Oh, see what's funny, man? Talking about the full size Wagoneers. If you ever have a chance, and you go by a magazine stand and you see the DuPont registry sitting there, look through it. You'll probably find about 3 or 4 Jeep Wagoneers in there for sale, starting at about $145,000 a piece. The rich people are snapping those things up left and right. Um, Actually, I have a Jeep Renegade, Chris. I have a 2018 Jeep Renegade. It's a little thing, little 4 cylinder. It's all wheel drive, but it's on a front wheel drive platform. And I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's a nice little Jeep. I've already had it off light duty off road work, and actually does works pretty good off road. Okay, I'll talk to you later, Lakeisha. Great seeing you again, hon. And see what. Well, see, Mary, that would be something I would snag up in a minute, especially if it had a 4.0 straight six in it. That's like kind of like my dream setup. I want to get a Jeep Cherokee 4.0 straight six, preferably a manual, but if I have to get an automatic, I get an automatic. And I like to put Dana 44's front and rear with air lockers in it, lifted with between 33 to 35-inch tires on it. That to me is almost like, for me, is like, it was like the ideal setup. Yeah, I had the 4.0 Mary. You work, sometimes they get bugs in it. Once you get the bugs worked out of them, like a buddy of mine has an old Jeep Wrangler. Well, actually, he has one of the old square headlight Jeep Wranglers with a 4.0 and a 5 speed in it. He's actually on his third frame and fourth body. The body rots out. He goes buys another body or buys another frame, and he has it down. Him and his buddies have it down to a science, like the army did with the original Jeeps, that they can get a body or a frame and within a day have the new frame underneath it or new body on it and have it running and going down the road. I say in just under 8 hours. Oh, honchos! I used to love the honchos. Yeah, honchos were. Oh, okay. Uh, you had a fuel line issue, which isn't really that hard to fix, but a lot of garages want to overcharge you for it. Oh, I remember the AMC Renaults. It was like a Renault with an AMC badge on it. Oh, those things were they're ugly and they were brutal. And they could take anything you threw at it. But don't ask it for performance because it didn't really have much. Yeah, because down there in the middle of Texas, West, you don't have what we have up here, which is salt on the roads. Yeah, the salt up here. Yeah, the salt up here will just eat a vehicle. If you don't keep up with it, it will just eat a vehicle like that. It's that happened. I hear that happen a lot, man. It's either a mechanic wants to overcharge you to fix it, or they're just so just get rid of it because they don't want to deal with it. Exactly, Tibor. Oh yeah, it does, River. It does. Yeah, because I probably spent about the next 2 weeks, like when I had that dart. I spent about the next 2 weeks. I was like actually pulling the inner fender well, dropping the wheels, pulling the inner fender wells out, and getting up in there with the hose and make sure I get all that rinsed out and let it air dry. Oh, see, my dad had a 69. Night, Timo. Have a great night, man. Yeah, my dad had an old 69 C10, three on the tree, 4-wheel drive. Oh, see, Mary, you should hang out with my mom. You would love hanging out with my mom because my mom, when it's running good, because it's a little old, we have a 99 Dodge 1-ton 4-wheel drive dually with the extra cab on it and a Cummins diesel turbo. What has a Cummins turbo diesel in it. I mean, I think we'll pull a house over. My mom will get it. We'll get in that truck and just drive down the road like she's jumping, like she's driving her car. uh, that's true, River. Unless you're already living in North. If I want to have a nice vehicle that I can drive every day, I have to move south. See, like, I didn't really. What was really funny is I didn't have to worry about my S10 because the salt never really affected the frame or the body. So for some reason, '93, the only thing would rot out on my S10 was the cap corners. I had cap corners put in that thing like 2 or 3 times, but it only rusted so far and it just stopped. And the floorboards and the frame underneath, even after running it in the salt for about 7 years, it was my daily driver that I also raced. I ran it in salt for 7 years, and the frame still had the original paint on it. And the floorboards, you could have eaten off the floorboards; they're still clean. I could wrap my head around it. A big 10, like a heavy 10 or a heavy half ton. I'd like to find an old Willys truck like you, North Arkansas. I really would. But when it comes to Willys, I still want either a 33 or a 41 Willys coupe with either 392 or 426 Hemi, a B&M Hydro transmission in it, and that straight axle stance. I'm an old gasser fan. I love gassers. I absolutely love gassers. Okay, yeah, up here was we used to call them a heavy half. They're like between a half ton and a 3/4 ton. And then they also up here they also made a heavy 3/4 for plow duty. We had a heavy 3/4. We had 1986 Chevy heavy 3/4. It was a custom 20. That was 3/4 ton. It was set up to be a plow truck, but it was built pretty much to military specs. Everything on that 86 Chevy would be the same as the 86 Chevy gas version of a military truck. Had the 350, had the 14 bullet axles front and rear. Both axles were limited slip. MP205 transfer case. Um, had a well, we put a turbo 350 in it. It came with the 200R4, no 700R4 in it, with a and it with an ultra low first gear for plowing duty. I mean, you point that truck in direction in the woods, you ask it to go, it didn't ask questions, it went. Oh, it is West. Actually, depending on the year, the bodies on most Chevy trucks were the same from half ton up through 1 ton. They were the same body. It's just the badge that they slapped on the side of it. Um, and it all depends on what trim package it is too. Yeah, because when I worked at Chevy, I was going to do like this 78 to 86 Chevy like square body stuff because they had it on the computer. Now I couldn't order the parts, but they had it on the computer, and the number of packages, trim levels, and chrome packages they had on those trucks was just staggering. I'm sitting there like it's like three whole pages of nothing but chrome pieces for one piece on the door. Then another 3 pages for the bottom piece on the door. I'm like, what the heck? See, we had one of those too, Mary. We had a 96 Ford 3/4 ton with a 460 in it, and two tanks. And if you had a truck tuned, if the truck was tuned well and running well on the highway, it had about a 450-mile range, which isn't too bad for a gas 460. Driving around town, on the other hand, it drank gas. I mean, I drove that thing back and forth to work. I spent $30 every 2 days in the truck. No, you trying. Oh yeah, there's older Silverados like that. Those things are built like tanks. Yeah, those things. We have people when I worked at Chevy coming in. They're buying. They have like 20-year-old Silverado. As soon as the would actually hound them, and they'd walk right past the salesman, and just like, I want to keep that thing running because I don't want the new one. Oh, like one of the old Chevy ambulances, Wes, or one of the Power Wagon ambulances. There's a guy down the street has a World War II, no, it's Korean era Power Wagon military pickup truck. Hey, what's up, Frank? Oh, Korean. Okay, yeah, Korean era. Yeah, those are interesting little beasts there. See, what's funny is I almost had because I had my when I had my Ranger, I had it paid off for a good while, and I had a good bit of money stocked up. I almost bought a '51 Dodge panel truck to use for my photography business. Oh, that is a deal breaker right there. I would have I would snag that sucker up. Oh, I ain't saying nothing to River. I mean, Toyota and Subaru make good products. That you won't find no argument here from me. Um, Especially those Toyota trucks. The old 22Rs, me and Wes had talked about those before. Those old 22Rs, you just could not kill them. You could not kill them. In fact, you want to see something funny? Look up Top Gear. I think it's an old Top Gear. I think that they try to kill a Toyota pickup truck, and some of the things they do to this poor truck, and it still survives. It's just hysterical. Like Jeremy Clarkson's driving the thing around, bouncing it off of trees. He loses it in the ocean. They pull it out. They put a new battery in it. They take the plugs out, crank the motor over a couple times, put the plugs back in, it fires back up again. They put it on top of a building that was getting demolished. The building got blown out and literally dropped out from underneath the truck. The truck dropped 300 feet, still ran, still drove. Hey, what's up, Will? Yeah, they did. They hit it with a wrecking ball and pretty much launched the thing into the next century. Still ran. Oh, and the Subarus until they really started. Like my favorite Subaru, believe it or not, is the Impreza. I love the Impreza WRX. I love them, especially the rally versions of them. I'm a huge rally fan. But they make great rally cars, and they started messing with the foam and they stretched the wheelbase even more. And it's like they couldn't get the car to rotate fast enough at that point. And then kind of gave up on rally. But Subaru makes an awesome vehicle. Well, man, you came out with a deal there, dude. That's a deal there. You just missed us talking about cars, Chipper. Like, for foreign cars, the only thing I had a Honda Civic, but I play around with like everybody else's Honda Civics too, helping them out with theirs. I had a '97 Honda Civic EX Coupe, had the 1.6 EV Tech in it, and I tell you what was funny. Oh yeah, they are River, very impressive. But yes, one thing that's funny about that EXO is what I found out is they had an 85-mile-an-hour cutoff on the throttle in fifth gear. I had a 5-speed stick. In fifth gear, it would govern the car to 85 miles an hour, wouldn't let you go any faster. But I found out if you dropped it down in the fourth, I could run the car up to about 130 mile an hour. Oh, I thought, well, about 10 years ago, WRC was actually thinking about putting a rally on in the US. And me and the guy I was working with at the time, my boss, I'm just like, well, if they put a rally here in the US and you and I go, they're gonna have to hire somebody to run parts because we're gonna be there. Yeah, but rally is fun stuff to watch, and I honestly think that the rally drivers are probably the best drivers in the world. I mean, not only even if you watch like circuit racing and it's raining, they're still on a prepared track. They don't have to worry about any other obstacles. Rally drivers are driving on closed down public roads in all kinds of weather conditions, including snow and ice, in speeds upwards of 120 miles an hour. 120 miles an hour threading a needle through trees. That's on dirt. That is fun to watch. Exactly, man. Exactly. I mean, what I was there's the reason why I still want a Toyota pickup truck. Actually, Wes, you should bring that up to WRC, uh, the World Rally Championship, which is governed by FIA, and see a lot. What happened to because they're actually going. They're trying to have a WRC is trying to have a rally here in Pennsylvania, a World Points Rally here in PA, but everybody went NIMBY on them, and it's just like not in my backyard. I'm like, they're like, wait a second, we're in the middle of the Allegheny National Forest. The closest house to us is about 8 miles, and people voted it down and wouldn't let them in. I'm just like, in some of the areas up there, they're hurting for money anyway, and that is some good revenue coming in. Even if it's only for about 4 or 5 days, that's good revenue. And see, when I was on the crossing, I was actually starting to train to race rally, and I had the FIA form. I was going to, I think I still have the form someplace. I have to update it and send it into the FIA because they'll just change it. Here's a rally light. You can have like $65. Like, here's your rally license. Good luck finding the job. And the other thing with rally that really impresses me is back in the day, if you guys know anything about rally, if you ever heard of Group B rally, which I ended up outlawing in 1986 because too many people died, those cars were just insane. Like a lot of the cars, like if you look them up, like the Audis and the Lancias and some of these other cars in the Group B era, you look them up and they said, yeah, this car had about like 540 horsepower. They were lowballing that number. One of the Lancia S4 Delta S4s had close to 750 horsepower, and they ran both a blower and a turbo on them. I mean, they were just insane cars. Actually, that's not a bad idea because I was thinking about doing the same thing, Wes. I was thinking about doing the same thing because there's some nice tarmac roads around here that would just be look like they'd be fun to rally on. The only problem is with some of these tarmac roads, the house is just a little bit too close. So if somebody went out of control, they may end up in somebody's living room. But there are some fun roads around here, real fun roads. In fact, if I do those videos, Wes, I'll let you know so you can watch them. Good night, Brian. I would, Wes, if I could find a half dirt, half asphalt road around here that's actually long enough to justify rallying on. There are a couple, but at full song, you're going to have the whole road covered in about 30 seconds. You need some a little bit longer than that. And we're going to plan on doing it up in PA. It was, I think, the whole rally would have been about 90% dirt. Oh, I hear you, Josh. It's just crazy. Well, see, they still do that in Minnesota. They do that a lot in Minnesota. I watched a couple, two, three of those, and those are wild too. They would do circuit races and they would do drag races. And you have not lived until you've seen somebody put studded tires on a top fuel dragster and take it across a frozen lake. And that is, they didn't hit no 300 miles an hour, but that was just wild. Oh, that sounds like fun, Wes. That actually sounds almost like a, if you can make it into a circuit, that sounds like something you can do like a 400-mile off road race on, which I love off road racing too. Oh, off road racing looks like it. That could, or even better, sand. Oh, yeah, the dirt roads that they were going to use here in Pennsylvania for the WRC rally was all dirt roads, and all of them are either going up or down a mountainside. And some of these roads I've been on, and they're just fun. They're just fun to drive on to begin with. Hey, thanks for the sub, Riverbend. Oh, I hear you there. I mean, some of the older sleds just had no suspension to them whatsoever. It's like riding a brick. Yeah, I've seen some of the rock crawling from Washington, and they're like driving straight up a cliff. It's wild. But it is midnight. I don't want to wake anybody up, so I think I'm going to shut this sucker down now. And I'm hoping to catch your stream tomorrow, Wes. All depends on what I'm doing. But yeah, it all depends on where you go there. But I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and hopefully see you guys tomorrow. If not, I'll probably see you on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock when I'm back here again. So, hey, y'all have a good night. All right. Thanks for coming.